It's April 2026. It's actually Saturday today. And I've gotten to a point in this painting where I feel like it's like so close to being finished. But now I'm at the point where I'm adding like little details. Just like little tweaks, I guess. In my last video, I sanded it, and since then I have added a bit more to certain areas. You can see like the flowers here. I ended up adding more book pages to the flowers and more collage pieces in paint to the center. So what I'm doing is, you know, like in a vase where flowers come out of the vase and everything's in the center, there's a lot going on. It's very dense. So I'm adding more paper and more color, but still trying to keep the colors within the range of the painting. And when I sanded the drywall compound, I sanded off a lot of the navy blue that I had painted. I had painted the tulips with. So basically what I did was I used a palette knife. I shaped, you know, the bouquet, and then I painted over the bouquet once it was dry. And then when I sanded it down, it went back to this gray color, which I really, really love. The gray color I actually mixed a while ago, and it reminds me of like a graphite gray. So it reminds me of like pencil, and that's what I was aiming for. But then I wanted to bring in some more depth and dimension, which is where the navy blue came in. And what I did yesterday was I added a bit more of the blue into it. I don't want to take away the gray because I really like the gray, but I'm slowly building up the lines again. It's like a push and pull, my paintings. What happens is I add and then I subtract and then I add more in certain areas. It's like, oh, I really like that. This flower was sort of the inspiration for the rest of the painting, because it turned out like I sanded it and then I was like, oh my God, that's so beautiful. That's what I'm aiming for. And one of my friends, I sent her a photo and she said it reminded her of like a fossil or like a petrified flower or something like that. And I really, really love that description. And I've just had a few little, I've had a lot of surprises with this piece, but with the flowers especially, there are things that have come out like this here. I added a page from Grey's Anatomy, and it's teeth, and you can see it like it's like inside the tulip, which when I sanded it away, I was like, that is so cool. That's so cool. And yeah, just like moments like that it's like, this is why I paint. This is why my practice reflects it's the way that it is, because I have designed it this way, because I know that I love the surprises. And yeah, I even have like my grandmother's name in there, which just appeared all of a sudden. A lot of things just appear for me where I'm very surprised by the process. And what I'm going to do today, the thing is, it's at this place where, like I said, it's almost done, but it's not quite done. But I don't want to take away too much of the magic. If I shape it too much, I feel like I don't know. There's been a tendency in the past where I've done that with works, and then I'm like, oh, I overdid it. So what I'm gonna do today, I might add a bit more collage to the center. We'll see. These are all the paper peelings, and I also have a little tin of collage material. So I might just look through that and see if anything is catching my eye, but I've done the navy blue on the flowers on this side, and now I'm going to do it on this side. And I just realized I probably need some paper towel and water. It's a good thing everything is within arm's reach. So I'm just gonna mix, I need to mix a little bit more of the navy paint because I ran out of it, but thankfully I have the blue already mixed, and I'll just add some black to it. And it's so warm today. It's not so warm, but for April it feels warm, that we have the fan going, and the studio was feeling a bit warm, and my palette is actually drying up because of it. It's like not quite dark enough. And I have run out of black, so I'm gonna get some more black. It's always fun trying to plan, you know, before I sit down and do a video and make sure that I have everything I need, but my process is so spontaneous that I just gotta go with it. I just gotta, you know, that's okay. I'm actually gonna take my ring off too. Now I can't open the tube. Great. It's like a fresh tube as well. I don't know why. It's possible that there was paint stuck on it when I closed it. Okay, so that's not opening. And part of me just wants to, you know, use the color that I have, but I can see from the palette that it's... Okay, finally. Oh my God. It's just not quite there. These are real moments from the studio. And I have to be okay with that. It's, you know, there's always I have the pressure to be perfect, and life is not perfect, and there actually is no such thing as perfect. But it's like the expectations that I put on myself to have it go the way that I expect it. Just stretching my hand a little after that, the tube. I don't know if anybody else has this, but because I'm on my phone and you're like texting on your phone, sometimes my wrist gets a bit sore, and then when I'm working on paintings or whatever, I find it can be very physical on the body, especially the bigger works. Like the other day I was bending over, like I was working on this and reaching and bending, and I was just so enamored in it that I didn't realize, you know, that my posture wasn't great, and then I developed this like knot in my neck. Oh, I need to take better care while I'm working. It's like I expect my body to just perform, like just do it, body. I need to be gentle on myself. So I added some, it's called retarder, and the retarder extends the life of the acrylic paint. It also, like if the paint's a little bit dry, I find that it will loosen it up a bit. I'm just gonna add some more water. This is a Stay Wet palette, which was an absolute lifesaver for me, and I just realized I don't have brushes either. I'll just grab some. Yeah, the Stay Wet palette, how it works is it uses like a wet piece. It's actually a wet sponge underneath, but I just use a wet piece of paper towel because I found that my sponges weren't really lasting. They were getting moldy and disintegrating because they're just wet all the time, and then what happens is you put the lid on to keep the moisture in. And it's like a brilliant design because acrylic dries so quick. And so you have the sponge underneath, and then you have the paper on top, which is sort of like a waxy finish. And yeah, it extends the acrylic paints, like sometimes for weeks. I noticed when I was living out in Alberta, my palettes would dry a lot quicker because it's the climate out there is much drier than it is here in Ontario. It's like it can be very humid here in Ontario, very damp. So that was an interesting discovery. I don't want to do too much. I want to do what I did on this side, where I just bring it out. But this involved some trial and error yesterday, where I was adding the navy, and then I would wipe it away, which is what the paper towel's for. And that seemed to get the effect that I was looking for. I want it to sort of look like stone. Like stone peeking through. It's nice. And I want it to be subtle. I don't want it to just look like big navy blue lines. The thing that I have to watch out for though is like getting the paint on the paper, which, yesterday I was using baby wipes which have alcohol in them. And maybe that will help a little bit more with the paint on the paper. Yeah, I think that works better than the paper towel. I can also use a smaller brush too, but I find that the smaller the brush, the more perfect it ends up looking. Like it's just like tiny little brush strokes, and I like my work to look and feel as organic as possible. It's what I'm always aiming for. It's like, oh, it just happened. And a lot of the time, a lot of it does end up being that way. It's like, oh, that's a cool little thing that I could have never planned myself. And then sometimes it's a little bit more work to get it that way. That's the fun though. I forgot. I have these little bowl clips and I put them on the side of my palette and then I can rest my brush. That was a fun discovery. Because I like working on the floor, I've had to change things up in my studio, like how I work. It's amazing to me to think about. At one point I actually had an easel. This was when I was first starting out. And I thought, you know, all artists have easels, like I need an easel. And I just used it to display stuff. Like if I had a painting that was, you know, I set aside and it was sort of at a standstill, or it was finished and I needed space to work on the next painting, because I always had them up on the wall. So I would just use it to display stuff, and then I was like, this is taking up a lot of space that I don't really need. Like, I don't really need this. But, you know, it's the story. Like, every artist like must use an easel. It's just you think that that's what artists do. And then as I've gotten along in my process, I've loosened up about things like that. It's like, no, however works for me is the way to do it. So I've tailored my process to how I want to work versus me conforming to what I think I should be doing. It's taken time to do that though. I almost went into the black. That black paint, it's coming for me. This one I really like. There's like navy in the center already as I scrape it away. So I'm not going to add a whole lot of navy to that one, but I will to this one. Yeah, I'm really, really liking this. Just brings it out a bit. It's like enough of a contrast that you can see that there's a composition underneath. My work can be busy, and I like that. I really like that because, you know, when you look at it, every time you look at it, there's something new to discover. And like that for me is really fun. Not just to view it, but to create it. But I noticed that a lot of my work, my earlier work was, I don't want to say it was a challenge to get it, to have like a strong composition, because I feel like that usually comes easily to me, But I guess it depends on where I'm at in my cycle, like what phase I'm in. Sometimes it just feels like it's like, whoa, there's just so much going on. And sometimes I get lost in the abstraction of it. I had another friend who is an abstract painter. I say was because we used to have a studio, like when I was in a shared space, and she was two down from me, and she's still an artist though. She still paints abstract, really, really cool, like depth and line and color, and she's fantastic. But we would talk about abstraction, and sometimes, you know, how you can get lost in it, like it's its own world, and you don't really know like what way to go. It's sort of like being in a dream, getting lost in a dream. You're lost in your subconscious mind, which maybe for some people that would be very scary, but for me it's like, oh, that's what I live for. How can I get more of that? I don't know, it's not scary for me to be with myself. It's like, oh, I get to discover more about who I am and life. Meditation gave me that too. And I find that painting is just another form of that. It's like a way of connecting to myself on a deeper level. But I think when I started leaning more into collage, it gave me more of a buffer between abstraction. Like I can still work in abstraction, but I'm not starting from zero. That's the thing that I really love about collage, is you have the images and you're assembling the images. It's assemblage for sure. And if I feel like, you know, I don't want to paint anymore because it's like, well, where is this painting going? Then I can just lean on the paper. And if I find, like a few months ago, I was getting a little, not tired of collage, but I was like, okay, what next? And then that's when I rolled out my big canvases. I said a few months ago, but I don't think it was a few months ago. It was probably like a month or two ago. Time for me right now is so bizarre. It's so bizarre. It's like, I think about things and when they happened, and it feels like, you know, years ago, and it wasn't that long ago. And then the opposite, where it feels like something literally happened like last week, and it was 6 months ago. There's a fluidness to time right now that I don't remember ever being there when I was a kid. Probably in a different dimension. I mean, I feel like we most definitely are in a different dimension. I'm finding this very meditative. I switched to a smaller brush because I think the brush, this one, it was just too fat. I like that one. I've had, some of my brushes I've had for a really long time. Some of them I bought in Taipei when I lived there. Some of them I bought in Alberta. Others I got the art store that was here in Hamilton called Curry's. They closed down. And when they closed down, they had a huge sale. I think everything was like 60 to 80% off. So I bought a bunch of brushes then too. So they're just, to me, the brushes are like everything else about my materials I can replace. I can get more books. I mean, I can get more paintbrushes too, but I guess there's like a, because they're actual tools and I use them, I feel like they're old friends or something. Yeah. I feel like that about some of the books too that I have in the magazines. It's like I return to them and I find new images that I want to use, and but this one that I started with, it's probably due for garbage. It's it should actually probably go in some water. It's a little bit coarse and rough, and it's great for mark making when I'm doing the backgrounds. Like I think I used it for this red squiggle here. For the finer things like what I'm doing now, I needed a finer brush for the finer things. I'm such a nerd. I'm thinking that I will need some more color on this side. And I'm also thinking, because I used a lot of old books and sheet music and magazine images. This here was inscribed, I think that's the word. Somebody had wrote in the front of a book, and it was for her friend. And her writing was so beautiful. I feel like people used to have such beautiful writing. Like everybody had beautiful writing, because it, you know, before computers, we wrote. I don't know if I want that one to be navy. And yeah, so I wanted to honor that. I put that one in, but I'm thinking, because it's so, like you can see the book pages in certain areas, I might add a bit, like maybe I'll add one here and sand it away, just so that it's kind of cohesive. I don't know. Yeah, I'm at this point where, like, what to do? I could also just, I feel like I could just step away from it and be like, yeah, it's done. I'm not ready to give it up just yet. I'm not ready to start a new one just yet. Every time I have a painting, like a new painting, it's like my new favorite. I think just because I learn new things from each one. Just cutting away some of that paper that was there. funny because so much of it, of my process is spontaneous, and then on the other side of it, it's like very methodical, very intentional. I get to shape it in the way that I want to. Art is so amazing for that. It's so healing. It's like we get to collaborate with the universe. It's a co-creation. I think it saved me. I know it saved me. Art saved my life. When I didn't know who I was or what I was doing with my life, I went back to painting, which I used to love when I was a kid. I loved painting. I loved drawing, mostly drawing more than painting, I think because it was easier for my mom to clean up. You know, having crayons and markers and paper, it is much easier to clean up than to have a kid full of like paint on their hands and on their clothes and on the rug. Paint is very messy. Even as an adult, I find it messy. But I remember being, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years old and coloring on my sister's face with marker and just thinking that she looked so beautiful. She was like a little baby at the time. My mom was not impressed. So markers and like they are not always less work. But yeah, it was, art for me was my refuge as a child. It was the place that I could tune out the world and listen to myself and be myself, and it never asked anything of me. I didn't have to be the responsible one. I didn't have to be doing anything. I didn't have to, you know, have a plan or have an outcome. It was just like, and I see now, it was probably just the best way to keep me occupied so that my mom could get shit done, as all parents want. But I would do it for hours. I know. I would just sit there and color and paint for hours. And I feel like I'm doing the same now, just as an adult. And I'm so grateful that I advocated for that to be a part of my life, because it wasn't always. I had to fight for it. I really did. There were relationships that I was in where my partner didn't understand my need to create or the time that it takes to be in the studio. And not just like romantic partners, but friends. I'm sure, you know, there are people in my world, in my life right now who think, you know, that it's bizarre or strange to spend so much time making art. I mean, if you tell people that it's your job, they're more understanding, I think. They're also like more curious, like, how'd you manage that? Like, you mean it's your full-time job? I remember when I first started painting again, and my goal was to be a full-time artist. Like, whatever that means. But it's amazing to me that it's still kind of out there and radical in our society to be an artist, to think differently than the mainstream is still a challenge. And I guess that's what I mean when I say I'm proud of myself for advocating for myself, for sticking up for the child in me who she needed art so badly. And there were years of my life where I felt guilty for making art, for choosing to, like, that's how I was spending my time, and I felt like I should have been doing other things. My story was that I was selfish, and that's why my partners were reflecting that in me, because I didn't feel like I deserved the time. It's not even so much like saying that you're an artist, it's the doing. And that's what a lot of people don't talk about, is the time that it takes to hone a craft. And I think, it's very easy to give up, because it can take a really, really long time to not just learn something, but get good at it. And not just get good at it, but have it be an expression of you. I mean, I think all art is an expression of us. What I meant to say was, it's like we have taste, and we know what we like, and we have an idea of what we want to make. But then to take that idea in your head and pull it forth from the field, I call the space where ideas live, and dreams and symbols, that's the field. And to pull forth from the field, like from my imagination onto the canvas, a lot of the time it doesn't happen the way that you want it to, or it doesn't look the way that you had envisioned it. So it's like to be okay with that, but also to keep trying to make it happen, keep trying to work, so that one day what's in here or in here can be in the physical world for other people to see. I think that's the goal of the artist. And not just the goal, but the purpose of the artist. It's to express emotions, because emotions also live in the field. And how can we express these things that don't always have words for them, even to write how we're feeling? I think coming here to this planet, this place, can be such a confusing journey, because we come here without a memory. It's like our memory of who we actually are has been wiped away. And then we're all just trying to make sense of it. We're trying to get back home to ourselves. And we do that through art and through writing and dancing and speaking, cooking even. It's like anything that allows us to be creative. We are very creative beings. Human beings are, you know, everything you see in the whole world. If you're driving in your city, every little thing that you see, guardrails, stop signs, buildings, flower pots, bikes, it's all been thought about by a human being and then created in the physical realm. But the idea is what comes first. And in order to bring that idea forth, you need time to contemplate the idea, and you need courage to bring it forth. Even if people tell you, you know, that it's not going to work or that you're crazy, it doesn't make sense, you have responsibilities. Like, why are you doing this thing? But it's a calling that doesn't stop. And it won't quiet itself until you listen to it and fulfill it. And even then, it's like, after I painted my first painting, I was hooked and had to paint more. And the urge to create never goes away. It's just like a stepping stone to the next and the next. And that's really what gets me up in the morning, especially when I'm in a painting. Like I've been in this painting for a couple weeks now. And every morning I wake up thinking about it. I go to bed thinking about it. Yesterday we had to leave the studio because we went to the Hamilton fashion show. And I was working on this and I did not want to leave. Even though I really wanted to go to the fashion show, I was like, but I'm like attached to this world that I'm creating or co-creating. And it's amazing to me to have that. Like I'm just in awe every day that there's this thing that I love doing so much. Like I get to do this. And like I was saying before, it's less I get to and more I choose to. It is. Like if there's something that you want to do in your life, you have to advocate for yourself in order to do it. The world isn't going to, you know, step out of your way and be like, yeah, I think you should do that, because everybody is vying for your energy and your attention, and people want things, right? But to honor the voice, to honor the calling, whatever you want to make, there's no greater feeling. And that's why I do it. I think what I'm going to do next is, what happens is I can see it's like I get so tunnel visioned in this that it's hard for me to see what the next step is. So in order to get out of that, there are a few tricks that I use. One of them is turning the canvas in another orientation. So like I'll flip it upside down or on its side and work at it from another angle. Another thing that I'll do is I'll take a photo of it and look at it like on a smaller screen. That seems to help too. Or I can put it from one end of the studio and go back to the other end of the studio, and to see, you know, to have the distance, that also helps. So right now I'm really loving it. And then I'm just wondering if it's like, I don't know, I go to add more and then I'm like, nope. And usually when I'm at that point, it's time to step away, or it's like, it's pretty much there. Although I did say I wanted to add some more color, something on this side, really. And I might tone down this, like, I don't know, I really like this red here, but it might be a little much. Like maybe I cover this one and I just have this tiny little, like a pop of cadmium. You can see it, I have like little orange dots. This is the underpainting. And then over here, I also have this red swoop kind of thing. That was also part of the underpainting. I'm just gesturing with my paintbrush full of paint, like, Well, it's funny because I started off today not knowing what I was going to talk about, and I find that those are always, like, it seems to be potent information that comes through on those days. All I have to do is trust that it'll come through.